me to teach, and they're still Okay, Pastor is coming now to start with prayer.
We come. Good morning, hi, everyone. Everyone awake? Ready for church? Wonderful. Thank you, Father, for today, for your blessings to us. We give you praise in the name of Jesus, that you will walk among us. And Lord, as we look to see that your church is going to open soon, we pray that you'll bless each person in the name of Jesus. Amen.
I put the two slides back there, and it says roar, roar, and take, and pluck, 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 in sneaky bite, 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 bite. I also added 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8, that says, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, that's the devil, and he roars, roaring lion. He's like that. And he walks, how he can find the right to devour. But the book of Revelation, chapter 12, talks about the devil in a different way. It's called the old serpent. And we have been studying about Dan, who seems to be both lion and serpent character. And we've been talking about the 12 tribes of Israel in the past. And today, I thought it'd be a good time to pause the study about the people and their personalities and talk to us about how we ourselves don't have to be a prey. Be a prey. Prey is what? What is a prey? What is a prey? It's a victim. It's a person whose experience is something me, something on me. Okay? So Moses is a perfect example when he speaks to his congregation. And Moses, Moses experienced in his life about many things in relationship with the 12 tribes. But Moses has a secret. Moses understands what to do in the middle of problems and circumstances. And so he wrote Psalms chapter 90 and chapter 91, those two. So that was Moses' words, and he gives an example of what to do. And so on the bottom of that line, I wrote what to do with God's anger, when God is angry. And what is this anger about? So there's many points I'm going to show you about who God is, what he has done, what is our purpose that God has set for us, who are we, what are we, why we, how can we be successful? And so there's different issues that relate with us, how we can avoid being prey. Okay. The answer, as I said, we will discuss Psalms chapter 90 and 91. And I just put, and I know it's tiny, can't read that, but some of you have Bibles in there, so you go into your Psalms 90 and 91. I will be explaining some parts of that. Psalms 90, the verse 1, it says, Lord, I'm going to back up. There, in the middle, it says, Lord, you have been our dwelling place in all generations. What you see in that passage, the first opening, Moses announced to the people, and he's talking with the people, and you have to understand, Moses is ready to die, and he's ready to go home to be with the Lord. And Moses' experience, and he's going through that, and with his Moses' experience, we can identify like him, because he's tasting, he go through, and he's expressing what his experience, because he has fellowship close with God. And Moses says, first opening, Lord, period. God says, I am that I am, period. But who? Him. What's he do? What for? Why he is important? Why he says, I am. And Moses says, now, that the Lord, that's where I live. I live in him. Moses says, Moses lives in him. Now remember, Moses was on the mountain, and God called him to come up in Mount, where was that? Sinai. First I thought, okay, Nebo, no. Not Nebo, and where, no, Nebo is where he died, and Ararat, no, that's another place. No, Sinai. Oh well, forgive me, I'm 77 years old. But Lord, Moses experienced God in that mountain. And his experience was close. He met and he went in, and people who were looking, they looked up, and what did the people see? They saw this huge cloud, and Moses walking, little old Moses just walking in. And Moses was in the midst with the cloud of God and his experience. So what Moses will write here will be the same from his own taste and experience in that mountain. And he says, Lord, you're my home, dwelling place. That's where I, eat, that's where you sleep, that's where you wash your clothes, that's the place that you are comfortable, you enjoy that place, right? That's the place you run and hide, right? You don't want people to see me. You don't want to be bothered with people. You go home. And today, with COVID-19, we go home and we feel safe from disease that will hit. So we see here, that's what Moses says. The first thing, the first verse, it says, Lord, you're my dwelling place. And he says, for me alone, no, all generations, the generations, the Lord, generation, the Lord, generation, the Lord, next, Jesus came, the Lord, today, 2020, the Lord. Number 2 is our dwelling place. We are living in this generation. We're not living back there in 1900, 1000 BC. We're not living during David's time. We're not living during Moses' time. We're not living at the beginning with Adam, but that's good for us to know. That's those generations. Here we are in 2020, these many generations, several thousands of generations so far. When you look in Psalms chapter 90, verse 2, it says, now, Moses says, before the mountains, before you, the mountains, and before you created the earth, and before you, the world, the earth, the dirt, the land, the sea, the world, before you put in the air, before you put in the cloud, before you put and decorated the universe, before you did that, you are God. So we go back to one, and he says, Lord. And we go here, Lord, you are God. Now, what's the difference between the word Lord and the word God? What's the difference between the two? They're a little different, same person. Okay, God is the Lord, but what is Lord itself? Most of all, the Lord, all the presidents and leaders and so on, the most of all. Would you say, Bonnie? Power, yes, power and healing. That's what she is saying. I'm copying what they're saying to give you an idea. The Lord is a provider. Yeah, that's what he does, but that's not telling me what he is. That's what he does. He will provide. But who is he? When you use the word, in England, they use that vocabulary through people's names. Okay, here in the United States, we don't follow that, and that's probably why we don't catch it like they, in Europe, they understand it. The word Lord relates to ruler, R-U-L-E-R, the one who establishes the rules. Yeah, now that's a little different. That's God. God is the creator. He made, but the Lord is the one who orders. He made and then orders. So he identified who God is. He's the one. He is the I am, and the Lord is the same I am, but his role is ruler. He will rule. So who does he rule? God made heaven for himself, so he rules himself. Who does God rule? Why you need a Lord in the first place? You have God, so we must have a Lord. Now, we will begin to see why in the next verses. Psalms chapter 90, verse 3, it says, now this is odd, and I know I use King James. It's good for us to understand King James way because of that old English. And I'm noticing the old-fashioned ways, they said things that forces us to go, huh? Because we're not familiar with the old ways, and it's good for us to understand, like Shakespeare in the old England of the 1500s. It's good for us to understand Robin Hood. You know, the way they talked in those days is good for us because that's closer to the way they talked back there to help us understand how they explained what God is about. And it says, thou turnest men to destruction, and you say, return ye children of men. And then verse 4 explains, because 1,000 years in thy sight is like yesterday in your sight. It's like yesterday when it is past as a watch in the night. Now, I'm going to explain those in a minute. Psalms chapter 90, verse 3, it says, thou turnest man to destruction. God created man. You agree with that, right? God, right? Our home is supposed to be with God because God made us, right? We're his children because of the way he made us, right? You agree with that, this class? Okay, you agree with that, DP people? Agree, God made us. Now, takes man, and he also made the world, right? God made the world, and then he made man from the dirt, right? Okay, God made, and then he lifted him up. What did God do? Right. Breathed in his nose. Right? God's breath. And when God breathed, what happened? You said, JR, you said what? Put his spirit in man. What man do? What man do? He woke up, moved around. Hey. Did Adam say, I knew? He was clueless, right? He was just like moving around. I wonder, did Adam recognize, hey, I'm the new kid on the block, and who are you, elephant? And ooh, I don't know. I can't begin to imagine, right? I was not there. We're not there, but our imagination. Now stop and think. One day, you people, one day, we will see Adam, right? When, yeah, who is he? Some say he's tall and big. I was just thinking about this, and I was wondering, now, God, do you have any maps? I like maps. I like to know what's out there. Lord, do you have any maps for me? When I get there, I want to know, where's this? How do I get there? Where's a shortcut? The Bible is a map. But exactly, the throne of God it talked about, we can see, but there's other places God has made. Where does Jacob live? His son Gad, is he there? According to Revelation chapter 7, it talks about, the 12 tribes of Israel, 144,000. So we know that that they're following Jesus. We know that. But when we get there, the individuals, our experience, Psalms chapter 9, Moses' experience. And he said, thou turnest man to destruction. What that means is that God created man, and he put his breath, his spirit in the man. What happened at that moment? Man was both spirit and what? Flesh, right? Flesh and blood and all of that, yes. And so God took Adam and he planted him there, and he saw his interaction with the animals, and he noticed he was very, very alone, and he felt sorry for him because he sees you have animals, two to one man. And so God decided to make a wife for Adam. And so he took out and he formed, all right? And then he set them both to go and live. That's what it means. You turn man to destruction. Now to destruction. Okay. That does not mean God said, I'm going to take you and I'm going to tear you up. I made a mistake. That does not mean that. It means that God said, okay, I made and I put you there, but you will live, you will have experience, you will go through. Then God allowed the devil to come in. When the devil came in, what happened? He to Eve and yes, became sin. Sin entered the world. Okay, sin and what entered the world? What? Sin and chaos and death. Death. The ability to die. Now, what does that mean in this Psalm chapter 90, verse 3? Thou turnest man. So man, God said, and he put in there, and he goes on, permits Satan to come in and allowed death to enter. Okay, that means man will have forever body of flesh. Does that mean that? No, it means it'll be short. Right. So that his body will. That's what this means. Thou turnest man to destruction. That's what this is talking about. Moses gave a brief, but we have to study God's word to understand it. That's why I asked you. And I know you know this story, but never probably understood it like that phrase. Now, and then God said, you will return, ye children of men. Now, at that time, Adam and Eve had no children, right? So this psalmist, which was Moses, talked like, he started here, I'm looking back. That's what God did. Now, when he said Lord, the first opening Lord, verse 1, he says, Lord, you have been our dwelling place. Our dwelling place. Now, when God set up rules, he says, now, Adam, understand, I have a rule for you. You can do anything you want except. Okay, right, except do not touch that. That's the first rule. That shows that man was temporary, and it shows, what did you say? God, the forbidden tree, and he set up a forbidden tree, right? So he showed there was what? Limitations. And right, it shows his authority. It shows authority and man's limitation. Man can't do everything like God can. That's where the word Lord comes up, because it is Lord who rules and gives the rules. God sets up, the Lord rules and says, no, rules, follow me. And so Moses said, Lord, you're the one who I follow. I live in you. I follow your rules. You rule me. You set up the rules. That's why they use the word Lord God. Okay? Make sense? Okay. Lord God, I'm just a lump of clay. I'm just flesh. I must understand that this body is supposed to live here for a while. He has given abilities and talents he gave to Adam and Eve. And also, verse 5, I'm going to spell it out, and then we're going to explain a little more because it's all in there. Thou carriest them away as with the flood, and they are asleep in the morning, and they are like grass that grows up in the morning and flourishes, it's pretty and it grows, and in the evening it's cut down and it withers. That's like our body that has limitations. It grows for a while and then it becomes ugly and brown and fades away and it's gone. And so that's what it's talking about. And that people are carried away. And what does that mean to be carried away, like with the flood? A flood, you have a flood and everything floats, right? You see a flood, water. You have a house in the way of the flood, that house, and it floats, right? If you have a cow that's eating and the flood comes, the cow can't do anything but. And so that's the way Moses saw life. Life is like water. I just follow, I just go along. Like, we move on. We can't stop and say, no, wait a minute, time out. I need to turn back time. I need to go back. You can't go back. You can only go forward. You can't stand still with time. Time, when it is time, it is time. Now, God created mankind. Man, K-I-N-D, is like man, the same. People, same people, all human people. And God made them everlasting. What's the difference between E-T-E-R-N-A-L and A-V-E-R-L-A-S-T-I-N-G? What's the difference between the two words? What?
They're both forever.
They're both forever. How are they both forever? This one is a little different. Everlasting is a little different. Okay. Okay, let's give another example. You have a pine tree. Okay. And it's planted and rooted and right there. What color is that tree? Tree, pine, green. That's why they call it evergreen. Means it's always green. When it's rooted in, always. See that sign? Goes around and around. Right? Eternal, it shows timeline. So you have a timeline from Adam to the book of Revelation. Timeline and into heaven's way forever. Ever. But always and everlasting means always the same. So I'm the same. So that's why God calls himself everlasting. Okay, so there is a little different. But God made man not everlasting, but eternal. And God knows what's going on with man. And also God made man himself, or children. God made that. But when you get to heaven, there's no children, only on earth, right? And who will have one individual over time and different eras according to how God has planned the earth and his relationship with him. We know 2,000 years to Adam and to Christ. Christ came into the world. Living Word arrived in the earth, and that was God establishing his time for that person to come up, Jesus Christ to come up. And Jesus decided that's his time to come in the form of flesh, to be identified with flesh. We know that. And so that's why we have God's set plan. Okay, then also God had individuals. Every person must be born. You did not arrive from heaven. You did not float down. You did not. You were born. Jesus himself followed the rule of a couple having sex, getting pregnant, having a baby born. That's the way of life. Today we think test tube works just fine without. That's what the world is trying to do. They're trying to be God. And then each person must born, and then every individual has a limited time. Every individual experiences life, yes. We go through, we're set in this earth, we're traveling. He's traveling right now, we're traveling together. But in about 2 hours, we will all be gone. Each one goes and lives your life a little different than each other. Right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 people, and plus whoever is on Vimeo, on YouTube and Facebook, whoever is out there looking, you are living your life individually under the Lord our ruler, under his rules. Even though people think I can do my own way, you can't live without God's rules, especially related with life. We live on this earth. He has framed our time. Our time is right now. It is, what are we? May 24th, 2020. Right now, it is about 9:30 or 9:25 in time. That's our time right now. We are blessed to be alive. God has not said you will die right now. Right? He has given us time. But there is somebody out there who is already dying. Maybe not us in here, not anyone we are seeing, but it's interesting how a person, knows that they're going to live until a doctor, you go into the doctor's office and you tell them, I have this little problem right here, I have this problem, and the doctor investigates, and so you wait, you don't expect anything, you think, well, it can be danger, it can't, but you don't know, and so you just live until that moment the doctor says, you will die. And it's like, the doctor has given me a death sentence. What will I do with it? My time is limited. If I don't have a heart transplant, if I don't have surgery, can face death. So what do I do? So God has given us time limits and timelines, and they're different. They're not the same. Some people have cancer because God has allowed that to be the time frame for them to get their own lives right with God. Sometimes God allows evil to be in the world. That helps us to run to Him, to choose His life, because like Moses said, He's our life. And I don't know if I will finish this Sunday school lesson because this is some good stuff that we need to understand about God, what He has given us. He's given every individual a time frame. And in that time frame, God expects every individual to act according to our talents He has given us, according to the knowledge He has given us. My knowledge may be the same as yours, but in different ways of the way I like to study. And Tom Hinnis may like his hands. He likes to talk with people and fellowship, do that and just talk. Me, it's like, I love people, that's good, but I like to study. I like to analyze. I like to do this. And we have people here helping us with the MEPO. And we have Pastor, Pastor, even though we're married for 59 years almost, coming up in about 2 months, even though we're married, we are very different. We both like to study, and we both chit-chat about that. But he is better with people than I am. I'll admit that. And so every individual, and then we have JR who comes in. He likes to open the church. He likes to support and back up, and he just likes. And we have Bonnie who likes to come in, and she was so excited to ride into church. She wanted to sing. Go ahead and sing. She's just so excited to ride into church. So we have every individual, and we have Carolyn who's over 80, and God's still using her individually. And she's interested with the children's ministry, and God using her to encourage other people to be part of that. We just have all the diversity, and God has said that. And so when it comes your time to meet God, and when it's your time to say goodbye to this earth, to say goodbye to your body and to your flesh, and when the flesh caves in, it's time to say goodbye, you must be accountable to God. Must tell God what you have done. There's no hiding from God. And then God decides heaven or hell, where we will spend forever. Now, chapter 90, verse 7 through 10, we are consumed by thy anger. Now, the interesting thing is, by thy anger. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And by thy wrath, we are troubled. We go through. Thou hast set our iniquities before thee, our secret sins. That means God has set, and He can see that. God put in there, and you have, and I have these secret things in there. You think God is blind? He knows what we look like inside. He knows our thoughts. God wired us. He put the electrical parts in our body. You know you have electrical parts in your body. Yes, that's how, in my body, I thought the heart before it was at the 4 pumps, and also you had the valve, and I knew that, the blood, and they have problems. So Tom had a heart bypass, in a triple bypass and all that. But my problem is not like that. Mine is electrical. The nose at the right time, boop, boop, right time, boop, boop, the right time, go, beat, 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 to cause the heart to pump. pump, pump. It gets up, yeah, wakes you, the electrical part wakes you up, right? And so there's all these different things that God has made us, and one of the things that we have these things in our lives, and in the light of your face. So when God's face looks at you, He knows inside of you, I can't see your heart, I can't see your thoughts, I don't know what's really going on. You can smile, and I always enjoy a smile. I'd rather you be nice to me and happy with me than grumpy with me. And I'm sure you're the same with me. You know, you don't want to see Joyce. You don't want to see that. And if a cop pulls you over, you know, you want to see a smiling cop who's nice to you. You don't want to see a cop that's going like this. You don't want to face that. You'd rather smile. But one day, God will not be smiling. We will face His wrath. And so God has a wrath in Him. Now we need to understand how we can avoid that kind of wrath. God has a way that we don't have to face that wrath that God will have for others. So we will talk about that in a minute too. And we, in verse 7 still, we are troubled, we have these problems, we have situations. God uses our problems to cause us to recognize that we have attitude problems. We think, oh, we've had a wonderful time in church here, and God's presence is so good, and we get in the car, and we pull out, and somebody goes, finish whilst our attitude with God. It is like, what? Are you crazy? And so we lose the sweet spirit. What happened to us? Well, we are affected by sin in the world. That roaring lion just went by, and it's like, but we can be saved regardless of those things. We're full of trouble. And the Lord had set up the rules, and so we're trying to obey the rules, but inside we really don't want to. So we're all in the same boat. God has, when you know that God is fast breathing, when you get mad, your heart beats just like, when you have a kid, it does not obey you, it's finished. And it goes through wrath and grief and sorrow also. We just go through. Verse 9 says, for all our days, every day, they pass away in thy wrath. In thy wrath. Now, what exactly is God's wrath? He's talking about God, mad, crabby person. No. It's just that God's way of controlling through His breath, His spirit, His breath control. And He will cause destruction. We have the floods and the storms, and they destroy. As Satan goes through like a lion here, there's the power struggle that is in the world. But our days, they will pass away. That was in the middle of this life. Our life goes through these various things. We all face that. In our lives, it says, verse 10, our lives is limited to 70 to 80 years. It says the days of our years are 60, means 60, and 10, 70. If you, for some reason, you're stronger, okay, can be 40. 4 times 20 is 80. 80. 1 score equals 20. So if you have 4 scores, that equals 80. 80. 20 times 4 is 80. Okay. Now, and how you can reach 80, how? Through strength, labor. People who just give up and lay down die younger than those who move on. That's why Carolyn is over 80. She's just moving on, driving out there. She won't give up. She won't sit down. She has pain, but oh no, I'm going to get up. I hurt. I'm going to get up. So that's what happened. Now, and it says, we think, okay, now, Carolyn, you're over 80, so you've had a long life. It feels like long, or it feels short. Life short. That's what the Bible says, for it will soon cut off and we fly away. What's that mean? Fly away. How? We from earth, how? Our body dies, the heart stops, and the spirit leaves. The spirit goes back to God. God set it up. We were born, and we start experiencing life. We go through and we live our life. Now, the secret here, it says, who knows the power of your anger? That's verse 11. Who knows the power of your anger? Because God's breath, finish, I'm gone. And so God has to control his breath, because people can't stand his strong breath. It's like, or your breath, and your spirit's gone, it goes back to God. So God has his way, and so Moses tells us and tells his congregation, it says, who knows the power of thine anger? Who knows? Even according to thy fear, so is thy wrath. Your fear. We have fear, his wrath. His wrath makes me afraid. Same boat, all the same. And so, but Moses is wise. He says, now, Lord, we know that and you're big, even though you meant to be gentle, but we see you, but you meant gentle, just a little bit, but it's too much, we're just little, he's big. No, what I mean, it's a matter of perspective. Perspective, right? So Moses says, so God, teach us, show us how to count our days. We know that verse 7 and before, it says that you God, given us 70 to 80 years. We know that. So teach us what to do, how to live. That's why Moses called him Lord. Lord tells us the rules and rules us and helps us. So we let him control us. Show me, teach me. That way, wrong. I have a problem with Vimo. It's not working last 30. What I do? Not working, why? Oh, we did not pay. Not my subscription. Oh, a little problem. Just a little problem. Trial. Don't look at me, I have no idea. Trial run. Supposed to be 2 weeks or something. And with this COVID and many emails, sometimes they send it, it goes to junk mail, and I don't see it because it goes out. Things happen, so we don't see. Anyway, we figured it out. Okay, now no more Facebook, but we have 2 ways. Now it's YouTube and Facebook. So about this, I just paid for it. They figured it out. But Moses is telling him to teach us how to count our days, so we use our judgment how we should live, how much we should live. I get so busy, I go and I do, and I feel funny, I don't feel good. What's my problem? So I stop and think, oh, I haven't rested. I'm supposed to stop. My heart does not work like when I was 20 or 30 years old. I think that I can live strong like I used to, but I learned real quick I can't. You know, when I'm finished teaching, I go sit and watch there and party that, and I go home, my heart beats. It just takes me a long time to calm down. And so the Bible, Moses says, teach us. So we sit down, it takes time to teach us and to study the Lord. And to return, oh Lord, how long? And let it repent. That means you, Lord, change your view about us. Lord, change your view, or change my view about us. And Lord, Moses said, just satisfy me, just make me happy. Don't have to be happy. The world says happy, 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 important. No, happy, 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 not important. Satisfied. Satisfied, okay, with your mercy. When God shows us something special, we need to say, thank you, Lord, and be satisfied with that. This morning we have YouTube. I'm satisfied. I'm happy. I have a son. And instead of looking at him and saying he's not perfect, you need it more perfect, I can't do that. He made it work. You know, I'm satisfied with that. If it's a little blurry, I don't care. It works. I'm happy. He clearly did work on a little later. I'm happy. Many times we're not satisfied. We don't show mercy. But Moses asked God to make us satisfied easy and satisfied with his mercy, that we can rejoice and be glad all our days. Many of us are not happy or satisfied every day because we expect something different than God planned. God has a plan. We want other. No, I don't want that. Our son, a long time ago, when he was little, gave him Christmas, and a small truck. I thought it was so cool, and big truck. I gave it to him. Oh, I want this other. And it's like, little boy, you want something else, bigger, better, motor? Not satisfied. Verse 15, and make us glad according to the days wherein you have afflicted us and bothered us. We are going through. So when God has set man, put him down there and said, go. That's what he did with Adam and Eve. He set him down and said, go. Every individual has been sent to this earth through the conception and birthing process. You did not come as a spirit from heaven, no, from this couple. Some people teach a spirit came down and put in. That's not true. That's false doctrine. But this couple born, and the power of the Spirit of God worked through the marriage couple born, and God works into this and gives life. And so when that baby is born, the parents are responsible for that, to help them go, face life, face experience. God has set the family for that purpose, that teaches, and then they go. And they go and do the same thing, or create family and go. And every person's experience is different, but from God said it according to that. Each individual must answer to God what it will be. And so that's where Moses says, yeah, we go through and problems. We have seen so many things right here. But verse 16, it says, let thy work appear unto thy Servant. How many here is a servant? You're a servant. You're servant of God. Video people. Ruth and Barbara and Sephora and Philip there. You're servant of God, right? And Nebo land, you're servant of God right here. And let his word appear on every individual today. And Moses says, and thy glory unto the children. So Tom and I have a son here. I asked God to appear the glory unto him, because he's the one that helps with this media system. And your children, let God's glory appear to your children. Let God's glory appear to your children, right? And your children, let God's glory appear to them. That's what Moses prayed. God, let your glory, your face shine upon them. Your face shine will appear. They will recognize their sin. They will recognize their wrong. They will want to turn to God. Inside, something God built inside, I must look to the Lord. And verse 17 says, and let the beauty of our Lord, our God, the Lord, our God. So the Lord is called second, God is called first, because why? God is God. He's the one that sets. And the Lord is the one that rules what he set. He said the Lord is the one that rules. That's why you have God the Father and God the Son is Jesus Christ. He rules and helps us. Anyway, Moses says, you establish the work of our hands. Yea, the work of our hands. You establish it. So this morning, as we have to close, and I haven't even touched 91 yet. I've not even touched 91. I just went through 90. Let the beauty of God and the beauty of his ability to establish the work of our hands. So this morning, I proclaim to you that he will establish his work in you, in you, in you. If you want God's work to be established in you, raise your hand. Say, yes, Lord, let your beauty, even though I'm 77, even though we're over 80, even though we're 61 or 71, whatever our age, we can still be beautiful in God's eyes. He established, we can act beautiful because inside we are beautiful. We have not allowed the roaring lion to catch us and to take control of our lives. We have put ourselves in the center of God's hands. We have said, you are my Lord. I accept you, Lord. I want to be in you. I live in you. Whatever you say, I will follow, because you have created a wonderful thing in me. It was wonderful to see our President of the United States, Trump, say, church is essential. God is must. God is a must. God is not somebody you follow or second class. God is number one. He is the important one. We live in him. We have our life. We can breathe and live and have our being and live in him, whether we are in the flesh or in the spirit with him, and go with him forever. We are his because he made it possible. He has given you life. That is Psalms chapter 90. That's how we can stop Satan from taking us, is recognizing who is Lord. Shall we stand? Is it all right if I